Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market preparation video for November 4th, 2019. Well, we really have a big bullish move going on this morning. It's interesting that the futures have pulled back just slightly from the early morning highs, but we are looking at a huge bullish move this morning that looks like it will pop the Dow out to new record highs this morning unless something changes dramatically over the next hour or so. Looks like we're going to break through to new highs in the Dow. So right now we're full on beast mode here. We've got everything pushing to the upside. We had good jobs numbers. We have a strong consumer. We have good housing numbers. We have better than expected earners, and we have an accommodative FOMC that just can't help but continue to print more money. And consequently, everything is pointing to this upside move this morning. One thing that I will caution everyone on is to be careful not to chase this. I want to remind everyone just how far we are from our 50-day moving average. And when we push way above that 50-day moving average, we tend to come back for, at a minimum, a consolidation, but we can oftentimes reverse and come right on back. And remember the possibility, always remember the possibility, gap up opens, particularly gap up opens like this morning where we break out to new highs or we're testing new highs, have that possibility, I'm not suggesting a likelihood, but a possibility that we gap and we get what we call a pop and drop, and that's where we pop up early in the morning and then find sellers to bring us back into play. So watch that closely. That could be possible, and it's only because we're really stretched that I think that possibility does exist. Right now, all the economic numbers, everything is coming up roses for the market, and the market is just all kinds of bullish here this morning. So keep that in mind. We do have a good, strong trend. Our trend is holding in here. We're pretty far separated from our averages, but we're breaking out to new record highs here in the Dow. Any kind of rest, consolidation, or pullback that holds that support would definitely suggest more bullishness in the market. So watch that. We can certainly continue to just push on higher as long as those bulls are so excited about all of the numbers out there. Let's just watch that closely. So even though I'm offering up a little bit of caution here this morning, doesn't mean that we necessarily will pull back. We could easily just keep pushing on higher, even create kind of a short squeeze, squeezing out any remaining short hands in the market, really pushing us up. So keep that in mind. We could go the other direction. What I always want to do is I want to give it just a little bit of time in the morning. I probably will be looking at like a 15-minute chart. I want to see something, where we get that gap up in the morning, and I want to see that resting pullback or consolidation, and then see that follow through to the upside. That's when I'll be interested in additional long positions and things like that. I just don't want to blindly chase into this open. I've been burned far too many times doing that. Let's take a look at the SPY. SPY just really strong, gapping substantially higher this morning, stretching out here. I think it makes me really nervous, as a matter of fact, how far we have stretched out here in the SPY. Let's keep in mind that if the SPY opens up here, our 50-day moving average is 3.5–4% below where that market's going to open. We're pretty heavily stretched here, and you can see when we get into these areas, we sometimes have to pull back or at a minimum consolidate to allow those averages to catch up. But the bulls are certainly in control. Everyone is just firing on all cylinders for that bullish move today. Doesn't seem to be any hesitation, any pause, any concern about trade, nothing. We're just going to go higher. And it's very, very bullish here this morning. Let's take a look at the Qs. Qs also just ripping higher this morning, as you can see, bouncing clear up into here, going to gap up, leave another gap behind, and that also concerns me a little bit. We are very far stretched from our 50-day moving average here. And we can see when we've done that in the past what can occur, not that it will occur, just that we are very, very stretched here in the market. Bulls are in control. No reason to think that they're going to do anything other than stay in control. We just want to be careful not to chase into a market showing this much bullishness in case we do happen to see some of those profit takers come into play. And by the way, big gap up opens, something that we say a lot in hit and run candlesticks and right way options. When you gap up like this, gaps are gifts. It's a good time to be thinking about taking profits. And that's how some of those pop and drop patterns get created. We get that big gap up. Everybody says, you know what, that's enough. And they start taking some profits and the market pulls back. So just watch that pretty closely and keep in mind that is a possibility. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM following through. This is really good news if you ask me. For the first time in a long time, we've actually proven to break through this downtrend in IWM, hold it as support, and now we're following through to the upside. And it looks like IWM is also gapping higher this morning and will be breaking through some resistance highs that's really been a problem here for the market. Now, assuming they can hold that and not pop and drop here, IWM is starting to play with the market a little bit better, and that should help things overall. Notice right here, our 50-day is moving up. We could cross back above that 200-day in the next week or so if they continue to push this hard to the upside. Few things to maybe take note of. Transports are a little bit of a concern still. We typically, if you follow Dow theory at all, and not that you have to or should, but if you follow Dow theory at all, we certainly have a little bit of concern here with transports having turned lower. Now, they had a good rally on Friday, popping back up, and we could push right back on through there, which would be a good sign. But right now, just a little bit of concern there with transports not participating so much with the market. Let's take a look at the VIX here. The VIX has been showing us for some time that there's just no fear in this market. And if we take a look here closely at the VIX, you can see we're coming very, very close to reaching down here into this 11 handle in the market. You can see we're at 1230. This big gap up this morning could easily push us down into this level and maybe even lower. And you can see we have other support levels down in here, but we're reaching that point now where we're pushing the fear so low that you have to be a little bit worried about complacency. So keep that in mind. But right now, it looks like we're going to be pushing down into this level, possibly even breaking that support at the open this morning with all of the bullishness we see here in the market. So we'll have to do some more evaluation of these lows down in here as we continue to push lower in the VIX. Let's take a look at the T2122. T2122 is the 4-week new high, new low ratio. And you guys know that I watch this pretty closely. And it's not that this is an indicator that tells you the direction of the market. It doesn't do that. But what it does do very, very well is tells us when we've reached an overbought condition or an oversold condition. And as you can see, Friday's big move pushed us right back up here into that bearish reversal zone. We're just right there. Now this morning's gap up, I'm expecting is going to push us all the way back up into here, where we're going to be stretching this market pretty darn hard to the upside. Doesn't mean we can't continue. As you can see, we've had periods of time where we have stayed up here. We've just bounced around up here, continuing to stretch to the upside. But we're going to want to watch that pretty closely, and this is one of those reasons I think we don't want to be rushing into the market this morning or chasing into the market this morning because of that potential that we could pop and drop, pop clear up here this morning, find all those profit takers coming into play and a pullback beginning in the market. Now, it doesn't have to happen today. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Heck, it may not even happen this week. But as long as we're up here toward that bearish reversal zone, I want to be really watchful in the price action for any signs of selling, for that possibility of that pullback, places to take profits, those kind of things. So watch that close as we push up through there in T2122. Let's take a look at our economic calendar for today. And our economic calendar doesn't have a whole lot on it today to really move the market around, but we do have one report that has the potential to move us around just a little bit. As a matter of fact, we have really a rather light economic calendar this week. There's a few things on there to move us around, and of course a bunch of Fed speakers. But other than that, pretty light and easy economic calendar. But we've got those factory orders this morning. Now they are expecting those factory orders to decline. Today, the consensus estimate is for a decline. If it stays within that consensus area, we'll probably be just fine. If it happens to give us a surprise, that can affect the market. So watch that close. Here at 10 a.m. Eastern time. It may or may not have any effect at all. If it, like I say, if it comes in as expected, I think the market it will largely ignore it. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar. Now, our earnings calendar is huge this week. We have over 1,600 companies reporting earnings, and we started off pretty quickly this morning. We've got over 200 companies reporting today. And those earnings are coming in pretty fast and furiously. Now, earnings by and large have been very positive, much more positive than I think the market was expecting them to be. So we've got an awful lot going on here in this earnings calendar, and we'll want to watch those companies pretty carefully. Really keep in mind when you are looking at a stock, you want to pay attention to when that company reports. If you happen to chase into a trade or something along those lines, chase into a trade, you can often get beautiful possible entry signals. Notice CC, a beautiful possible entry signal right here into this stock directly before the earnings report this afternoon. So you'll want to be careful with that. And be careful not to chase into a trade. Make sure you're paying attention to those earnings reports, and there's going to be a lot of them this week. So stay on your toes and keep focusing on those earnings report times so that you don't get caught in a trade making that mistake that I've made many times. Make that mistake, forgetting about the earnings report, buying that goodbye signal, and then just getting my guts ripped out when the earnings come out. So watch those pretty closely. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up. Before we do that, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to ask you guys for a favor. If this is the first time you've seen these videos, could you do me a favor and click that subscribe button on YouTube? And also, if you feel the video is worthy, if you got something out of this video that helped you in how you approach the market for the day, if you could do me a favor and click those thumbs up buttons and also leave a comment. Every time you do that, it helps the algorithms to show these videos to more folks, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Now, I apologize, the last couple of days I have been so busy I haven't been able to answer those comments. Hopefully I will be able to answer a whole bunch more of those as today progresses. It's been kind of a crazy period here for us, having had an open house this last weekend. So everyone, I want to wish you all a great day in your trading, and thank you very much for all you who support the channel. You guys are awesome, and I truly appreciate it. So let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up looking pretty good overall. Take a look at BABA here. Now, BABA had a big pop up on Friday, and I've been kind of keeping an eye on this. Popped up and gapped up and pulled back. Been watching this pretty closely. BABA setting in a resistance level here. Now, this could go either direction. We have a current trend. You can see BABA is gapping up again this morning. You can see it's popping right up into here. So we had that gap and pull back, and now it's gapping back up. Let's watch this right in here. If BABA pulls out of there and holds, they had a good earnings report. We may have some more upside here into BABA. So let's keep an eye on that. How about John Deere? Now, John Deere, I mentioned this last week, has a beautiful potential chart here where we have moved through this resistance level in the chart, moved up through here, popping up nicely, moved up through that resistance, and we consolidated and held it as support. And you can see on Friday it moved higher, and it looks like it's gapping even higher this morning. So we have this nice trend going on in John Deere that could certainly help the Dow considerably as that continues to move up. So keep an eye on that. John Deere looking pretty good. And heavy equipment seems to be coming around to do pretty well, so keep an eye on that chart. Another chart you might want to keep an eye on, it had kind of a bad day on Friday, was that Lulu. I've been mentioning this one for a while. Sold off pretty strongly here on Friday, but let's watch and see if it pops right back up. I'm seeing that a lot lately. We get that one daily move down, and then it reverses and comes right back up. And if you notice right here, Lulu is expected to open right in here, so it is popping back up this morning. Just needs a little bit of love to push it on through. So keep it in mind, it's not off the list yet. One that you might want to pay attention to. One that I've been keeping an eye on, and doggone this thing, I really kind of want to be into Disney. Their new streaming service begins here on the 15th of the month, and that's what created this big gap up in here. Unfortunately, we have earnings coming up here, but one thing I do always like to pay attention to is when a stock breaks its downtrend, moves through, and you can see it's pushing on higher this morning. Any kind of arrest or pullback may set up an opportunity in Disney for an upside move. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on that chart. As you guys know, I've been talking about JB Hunt. JB Hunt finally made its move, popped through, pulled back, and just really got strong on Friday. Keep an eye on JB Hunt. It's looking really good here, holding this nice trend, holding up very, very well. Now, there is a possibility of a little more rest in here as it moves over toward its trend, but let's keep an eye on that. JB Hunt looking pretty strong right now, and wanting to push higher. Lots of other stocks out there just showed really strong results on Friday. And this one here, Home Depot, is of particular interest to me, having held that price support there. We've got this little trend going on. If Home Depot can pop out of this area, could be a nice opportunity. Good opportunity here overall in the chart for a low risk potential entry trade if Home Depot can drive on through. Now, it does report on 11/19. You're going to have to think about that on any trade that you make this next couple of weeks, because there's so many reports coming out. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day in your trading, and I want to wish you great profits. Please keep in mind that my caution this morning isn't bearishness. My cautiousness or cautious words this morning are nothing more than just that potential where we have to pay attention. We don't want to get emotionally charged in the market and chase into a trade. We have to think about the risk of those trades. So I'm not trying to speak bearishness in any way, shape, or form for this market because the bulls are in control. But I want everyone to think about and consider the risks of rushing into a gap up open like this. So think about that. And if you find that helpful, please make sure and click that thumbs up button and leave that brief comment. So everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great profits today. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. Have a good one.